call.
Jim?
Yeah.
We're gonna go over the
Yeah,
conference room. We got a little bit
Paul,
more room.
go ahead and.
It's going.
Hey, how are you, sir?
Good. Be better if we work this out.
Oh, I agree. I'm not sure where you're going.
What line do you want on here?
I just thought my management off.
Are you guys allowed to talk on the record about any of this stuff going on around here?
If you could contact our media relations, please.
Who would that be?
It's the phone number is 512-239-5000.
Okay. Do you guys have a plan set up on how to handle the situation this time?
We had a technical discussion in there, and I would ask that you direct any further questions to our media relations.
Well, what exactly did you guys talk about in there?
I would ask that you direct any further questions to our media relations.
Okay.
Please.
Good enough, ma'am.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I'm going to go ahead and get started. First, let me thank you all for coming out this afternoon, being patient while we sat back in the back and talked with EPA and some of our engineers. What I'm going to do is read you our press release statement, and it covers everything that we went through in those conversations. And then I'll turn it over to Jim for a few comments, and then we'll take questions. So without any further ado, the City of Ingleside is following EPA guidelines. These are the 2015 drinking water health advisories for 2 cyanobacterial toxins and taking necessary precautions suggested by the EPA. There are no EPA adopted regulatory limits for these constituents, for these things that we're talking about. There are no regulatory limits for them. Everything is in the form of suggestion. We work from health advisories, which is what we're looking at for these issues. At this point, we're recommending a citywide do not drink the water for children under the age of 6 and anyone who has a compromised immune system. That would be someone who might be on dialysis or doing chemotherapy. The originally restricted area has been released from its restriction for those individuals above 6 years old or, as I said before, with a compromised immune system. The whole city can still take showers, do laundries, and wash your dishes. That includes the people who were in the restricted area before. Dr. Paul Zimba has been here with us today, Director for the Center of Coastal Studies at Texas A&M, has been working with the city and TCEQ to assess concentrations of microcystin in the water system. The most recent samples showed a marked decline in that concentration. That was one of the things we went over with TCEQ today. The difference between the original samples and today's samples that show a decline in those microcystins in the water. We're continuing to sample, we're continuing to flush. This is a good sign that the city's actions in response to treat this situation have had a positive effect on the reduction of those toxins. I'm going to let Jim talk to you for a little bit, and then, as I said, we'll take questions.
Real quick, that's Mayor Pete Perkins just spoke. I am Jim Gray. I'm the city manager of the City of Ingleside. We have Dr. Paul Zimba here from Texas A&M Corpus Christi. He's been with us throughout this event. His testing lab is the lab that we've been using to get these sample tests throughout this process. We have John Michael, our city engineer, and Draft Jackson, our city engineer on that end. We will take questions after this, and we also, the school district would like to make a little announcement at the end of this. We do have a representative also from Sandpout Water District if we have a question specific to them. At this point in time, the city continues. We have been working since we were alerted to this problem. We have installed additional backflow preventers throughout the affected area. We have been flushing lines throughout, which is one of the treatments for this specific problem that we're having. It's a very interesting problem in that TCEQ, as the mayor mentioned, does not test for this. This isn't an item that's tested. We do monthly tests citywide. This particular constituent is not in that testing flow. It is not regulated by the EPA Safe Drinking Water Act. All we go by as a city and all that TCEQ goes by are health advisories. And I think we tried to pass this out to everyone out there. There's a longer document that's about 70 pages long in the back. You're welcome to get one as you leave. As we work towards working with this, and what brought out the decision today is the fact that for children 6 years and younger, EPA recommends a 0.3 or lower for those children to consume water. We still have some tests that are higher than 0.3 and some that are lower, which would be an all clear citywide. We do have some higher. For an adult on the EPA level, it's 1.6. We do not have anything above a 1.0. So we are significantly below the levels that the EPA gives us health advisories for adults and for children over 6. However, for children under 6, we have not met that standard yet. We haven't got below the 0.3. That's what we're working to do today. We have, like I referred to earlier, we installed 3 backflow preventers in the affected area. Now we're actually going house to house with everybody with a well, looking for cross connections. We're actually pulling meters, asking them to turn on their wells to see if we're getting a backflow back through those lines. If we see that, we'll know we have a cross connection. That's one possible way that this could have gotten into our system. It's a very interesting algae group, and that it takes sunlight to develop this algae group. On a municipal water system, we do not have sunlight. Our pipes are underground, they're enclosed. So it's a difficult thing to go out and find. So what we're doing is by flushing the lines and moving the water, we're continuing to decrease the levels of the toxins in our water. And as we do that, then it's going to allow us, as we see a spike anywhere, to go look in that particular area. We'll continue to test every day. We'll continue to work on trying to find cross connections each day until we either find the problem or until the problem goes out of the system and it just doesn't show up in testing anymore. We do not know how long that's going to take. And so at this point in time, if you do need water for your children or if you have an autoimmune issue, we will have water available at the City of Ingleside Fire Station on 8th Street. Tonight, we'll keep folks there till 10 o'clock. Normally, we'll have someone there from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And we're trying to limit the water that we give out to 2 gallons per person per day. So if anyone needs water, it's available for you there. We have gotten now, between TCEQ and EPA, where we're able to say, yes, take your showers, wash your dishes, wash your clothes, things that we were just trying to find out earlier as we started into this process. We're getting that information now. At this time, I'm through with what I need to say. I'd like Dr. Zimba to comment just a little bit on the testing process, and then we'll open it up to questions after that.
Good afternoon. As mentioned, I work at Texas A&M University Corpus Christi, and part of my lab's functions include toxin testing. We do a variety of testing of marine and freshwater toxins, including the freshwater toxins that are causing problems locally. The the method that we use is a fairly sophisticated piece of machinery called a triple a mass spec system, triple quadrupole system, which is considered by the EPA to be the upper end of the analytical techniques that you can use to detect toxins. And so, with the work that we've done, starting on the 22nd, our samples from the 22nd of January till now, most recently we've seen a very significant decline, over 60-fold decrease in the concentration of toxins as a result of the actions being taken by the city. And so that's a very positive sign in the last set of samples that were collected Monday.
At this time, we'll open it up to the floor for any questions you might have, or Troy, what would you like?
I can go ahead and speak for the
Yes,
district.
that'd be fine.
My name is Troy Merkovich. I'm superintendent of schools at Ingleside ISD. We have, of course, been working since this morning, waiting for these results to know what we were going to do as a school district. We had already ordered 200 cases of water in the event that it was going to affect school-wide. With it seeing that it's going to be ages 6 years and younger, we are going to go ahead and follow through with that plan that we have for our primary school. Our primary school is our pre-K, K, and 1 campuses, which cover students up to age 7. Once they hit GJM Elementary, they're already 7 and older. So the rest of our other 4 campuses, GJM, Sheldon Elementary, Leon Taylor Junior High, and Ingleside High School will go on as regular. What we are going to be doing, we've already changed our meals for the next 2 days just to ensure that there was not any water in the cooking because we weren't too sure. So we will make adjustments for that. With the washing of the dishes, we were concerned about that as well in our cafeteria. We'll have that. At the primary school, we will have water there available tomorrow because we have trucks bringing that in tonight. But if the parents want to bring bottled water for their students at any of the campuses for tomorrow, they're welcome to till we can get the water to that campus. We will be blocking off the fountains and the sinks and those types of things just to ensure the safety of the students there. We will also have been working on hand sanitizers, the waterless type that they can use on that campus so we can keep it as clean as possible. And we will keep you updated through our website and social media to let parents know how we're going. But as of right now, Ingleside Primary School is the only school that is affected. We will be on schedule as normal, unfortunately for the kids. But for us, we want them there, and we want them to be there. But primary school will take extra precautions for those younger students.
If you do have a question, please come to the microphone. Just give us your name, and then you're welcome to ask any questions. If we have an answer, we'll give it to you. If we do not have an answer, we'll try to find one for you.
I guess everybody knows me in the morning, and I've been here for 66 years. And my concern is that I'm living in the concern area since the beginning of the whatever happened to this water, you know, and restricted area there. And how long will this be to make sure everything's clear, you know?
We do not know. We're testing every day. We'll continue to do that. Once we get to the point where we have 2 consecutive tests that are good, we'll call an all clear. But being now that we're kind of looking citywide, it may be a good while before we get there.
My concern is that we all know there's no for sure because we're in the zone of the restricted area.
Yes, and the restricted area now is no different than the rest of the city. If you are above 6 years old in the restricted area, you're fine to drink the water. And I failed to mention, Troy reminded me, in our age now of social media, the City of Ingleside website and the City of Ingleside Police Facebook page, we do put all releases of new news each time that we get one out. We try to get one out once a day. If we don't have test results that day, sometimes we do not. We are trying to do that. Yeah, come on up.
I can.
Oh, I'm sorry.
My concern is, I found out there's on the 22nd. How long of a
We
period?
actually found out on Wednesday, we had a citizen, which wasn't the 22nd, it was actually later than that. 27? I don't have a calendar in front of me. We found out on a Wednesday that a citizen had taken a test. We did not get results till Thursday on that test.
The water samples were first collected on the 22nd, and an additional sample was collected on the 25th, from my memory. And we provided results from those on the 26th, back to the person who provided those samples.
My understanding, I believe, is that we got the first result back on Thursday.
So we didn't get notified till Friday
You didn't get-
afternoon?
As a city, one of the things that we do, just like I just said, that it would take 2 consecutive positive numbers for us to say an all clear. It also takes us 2 consecutive failing tests before we'll look at a failure. We came back with results on a Thursday and a Friday after our Friday result from 2 tests that the city took. Then we immediately went out Friday afternoon. It was about 7 o'clock at night. We started working on it. I don't think it got out into the public till about 9:30 Friday night. So yes, that's correct. We first started hearing about it on Wednesday. There was a test taken by a citizen on Wednesday. City followed that test up with 2 consecutive tests, Thursday, Friday night, or Wednesday, Thursday. Friday night, we got our results back, and Friday night's when we went, made the statement on the do not drink.
So we could have been harmed between that time frame, or?
And from everything we've read from the EPA guidelines, it does not look like short-term exposure would have any risk. Now, I can't say that for sure because I'm not a doctor, but reading through the guidelines and what it would take to give some of the worst-case scenario issues that we've heard about with damage to your intestinal organs, your liver, and different things, it appears that that's a fairly significant amount of the, you would have to ingest a fairly significant amount.
Well, no, I'm talking like we wash the clothes and it's in your
It
clothes.
does not appear from now what we have found that washing clothes, and taking a shower, any of those issues would be a problem with this water.
Because isn't it the same thing as inhaling it, as opening up your faucet?
No,
And it's
no, there's, other than ingesting it by drinking it, there's nothing in the EPA guidelines that gives us a reason to look at that. Our understanding is that they had a discoloration of their water from their shower head. And when they saw that discoloration, they were worried about it, and I don't know if there was a smell. My understanding was this discoloration. So they actually took, and I don't know how they collected it, but they got a sample and got it to Texas A&M, to Dr. Zimba. And from that point, then he started running his test.
My other question is on the notification process. I live in that area, but I was notified by my boss on Saturday morning because I never got any notification on any kind of phone system. And I know the city does have some kind of notification system in place. And I don't know if there's any other citizens that fail to get notified of this as well. So I just wondered, is there going to be a new test of the system to, see what's going on with that, or is there a better way?
Some of the things that the city did was we did put out on the city webpage and on Facebook Friday night, we put out the information. We also sent flyers out door to door on Friday night. We also used our CB can, which is the reverse call. One of the issues that we found out about the reverse call was before that we had a, Stan, and help me on this if I mess this up, Code Red was our original system, and you have to sign up for this. It doesn't just call you if you don't sign up. So once you have signed up, then it will call you. You call, are we going through police department or fire department for sign-ups?
You log on and fill it out. Contact Shannon at the fire
Log
station.
on where you-
Contact Shauna at the fire station, Ingleside Fire
If
Station.
you don't have internet service or something and need help with that, Shauna will help with that. Anyone else that's got internet service can go on the city website, and I believe there's a link to it. And go to the tab, it's
And one of the things, if you signed up previously under the Code Red system, with that system no longer being in place, we need you to re-sign up again under the new system. So go to the website or call Sean at the fire department.
There are handouts out here for the CBCAN system in the lobby.
In the lobby of City Hall, right behind the door, there are
There is a link
apparently
on the
some
webpage.
handouts that will also give you instruction to get on that call list.
The last question is, are you gonna continue to do this as part of your protocol to prevent it from happening again in the future?
We will test throughout this event. We're going to be discussing with TCEQ about whether they're going to add this parameter to their testing group or not, and I can't tell you, Debbie, whether they will or not. Any other questions? I apologize that it took us so long to get out before we could talk to you. We thought we were going to discuss this in the open meeting time, but it didn't work out that way. However, I do appreciate y'all staying in, those of you who sat through and waited throughout that period. If you do have questions, call City Hall. We have several numbers listed on our webpage for different individuals in the Public Works Department. We also have a new number now on the press release that we'll have available to you that we'll pass out. That'll be another number to the police department through the Emergency Operations Center. So if you have questions, we do encourage you to call. We'll try to give you the same answers twice in a row. Sometimes with changing people, we have a hard time with that. We'll continue to work to get better at it.
And we continue to keep the Emergency Operations Center open, and we'll be meeting regularly to review all the data that comes back from the testing and from the samples, to see what we have, and watch for the improvement, see if we can't locate any hotspot in there.
stand by. Question came up about animals, people's animals, dogs.
As far as I know, that I am not a veterinarian. I am going to assume your animals can drink from this, but I am not sure of that. I have not heard a definitive answer. You can always, of course, use your bottled water for animals. And I think that's as far as I want to go with that. I know what my animals drank when I was growing up.
But we're not gonna add any extra water for the animals.
If you have a very
This is for water.
Yeah, if there's a circumstance that you really need to talk to us about on the animals, please bring it to us. We'll talk about anything.
Another question that's come up.
You can't get away with that. You gotta come to the
Sorry about that, Oscar Diamond. Another question that's come up is, people with open cuts.
It is not addressed specifically with open cuts. When it was first discussed, there were talks of ration things, but in the EPA guidelines that we found in low, if you do not have long-term exposure, we are not seeing anything in the guidelines that say you cannot get it on. I would think just be reasonable. If you got an open flowing cut, I probably wouldn't put water on it. But if you're an adult who can ingest this, you can drink it, I don't think there'd be any problem. If it's your 4-year-old little one who fell and cut themselves on the bedstand or something, I would probably be careful of that. And use a saline solution or distilled water or some other drinking water that you might have on property. I'd probably be careful with my folks 6 and under. At this time, John or Grant, is there anything you want to add?
No, just had a good meeting. Just had a good meeting with EPA, both local and in Austin, just making sure the city's following the prudent protocol. It's not regulatory; it's strictly voluntary, but we want to make sure that we're following those EPA guidelines. It's a good meeting.
At this time, we're going to conclude the press conference. If there are any questions that you didn't get to ask, you're welcome to come up afterwards, and I'll do what I can to help answer. And I really don't have a number of the 6-year-olds, but community-wise, we have about 3,000 homes.
So we could say about 3,000 homes. How many backflows were installed?
We installed 3 backflows this weekend, and those were focused in the affected area that we originally had the mapping. And as we continue, we'll work out and we'll expand outside that affected area that was shown on the diagram.
Any ideas where this came from and the cause of the allergy?
We really don't. It's a tough one to go through and find. That's why we're having to go house to house now. And we may never find the exact reason. We're going to continue to try.
There's a potential that there would be.
And you say washing is okay, taking a shower?
Yes, taking a shower, washing your clothes, washing the dishes are all acceptable.
Why is that?
At this point in time, it's the same thing as when you are over 6 and you can ingest it, then you're not going to have that problem. We do not have any indications that even our children under 6 would have trouble with clothes that have been washed and dried. As long as they've been dried and they're dry and they're not
Levels
ingested.
were as high as that causing concern for
And you said there's really no timeline, but
No, I mean, we're going to be testing everybody.
for the children under 6 years old. So, that's quite an improvement, basically.
And so primarily the flushing of the systems and that kind of thing is one of probably the primary treatments for this type of.
That's correct. Trying to flush out the problem and make sure that there are no dead ends where there is a population that can sort of re-inoculate the system. But this is extremely unique. There are no published records of a distribution system having blooms like this, and so it's very strange.
There's no longer
very difficult to work with, actually.
But it's now what's happened is.
And again, he said no timeline on this because, and is that one of the reasons why? Because this is such a unique situation, so you really have nothing to compare it to find out how long it would take to get rid of this toxin, or at least get it to, manageable levels, safe levels.
Again, this is outside my area. I do the analysis. It would be my feeling that until the source is identified, then the treatment is helping reduce things, and we can hope that it knocks it out. But it's always nice to see your enemy. And at this point, there's a little uncertainty where it's hiding.
Reinfect the system.
Yeah,
that's the kind of thing we want to try to find.
Absolutely. Okay, very good. All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Mayor, talk to me a little bit about the TCEQ's involvement and everything here. And what exactly, when you say about the testing and how they haven't tested for that, what does that mean to the community? What does that mean to the state with something like this? How long has this been lingering in the water system?
We don't really know statewide because TCEQ, this is not one of their protocols. It's not one of the things that they test for. So we don't really know. We know that we had it as far back as last week when the citizen found some murky water and took it in. And he took it first to San Pat. San Pat sent it to A&M, thus the couple-day delay in us getting some results back. But that was a question I asked TCEQ. I said, why don't you test for this? He said, now that it's out in the open and you know that this is a potential toxin or something that's going to pop up in the water system, it looks like it should be expanded. Your testing should be expanded. And
what was their response?
Well, the answer back is, well, there's no protocol to do this because everything that comes from the EPA is not regulatory, it's advisory. And you don't want it to get in the hands of the regulators because everything that goes into the hands of the regulators results in the threshold being raised.
Do you have any intent to maybe contact the governor's office on the situation or go higher up above the TCEQ in regards to the situation?
At this point, I don't know. Had it gone the other way and had it been a regulatory thing, certainly we would be talking to the governor about it.
Okay, and what's the plan right now? We're just going to monitor monitor, make sure everyone's okay. Because we received lots of reports, as I'm sure you're already aware, we received lots of reports about people that were having nausea, diarrhea, and all this. Now, of course, it's flu season, so trying to juggle on whether or not it's flu or if it's due to this, it's kind of a toss-up. But to those who are concerned about being ill, what would be your advice to them right now?
Well, if you come down ill, see your family physician and get it diagnosed, and let's make sure what it is. It's kind of a known that when you come out with something like this and you publish a list of the symptoms, suddenly everybody has the symptoms.
Yeah.
It's human nature.
Right.
It's human nature. But I would say that if you do get sick, get to your doctor and get diagnosed. It may well be the flu, it could be something else. We want to make sure that everybody stays healthy.
And as for the city workers and the people that are working on the problem, are they going to be pretty much doing this round the clock for the most part to try to get this taken care of?
We have been working around the clock. As we go through the continued sampling, we probably will do the well work, where we got to go out and break the meters loose and see if we get a backflow when we turn the well on. That's probably a daylight procedure so we can see what we're doing. We don't have people working down in holes in the dark and getting hurt. But as far as the sampling and the flushing, we can do that anytime.
And what kind of cost to the taxpayers are we looking at with this whole thing due to this fiasco?
I really couldn't even estimate it right
Couldn't
now.
even estimate it,
It's mostly in man hours. It's not too equipment intensive other than those 3 backflow preventers that we installed at the trailer park.
But whatever it is, a small price to pay for.
Yeah, it's whatever we need to do to take care of our citizens, that's what we're going to do.
Just real quick, when it comes to the actual the cyanovirus, is that it? Cyanobacterium?
Cyanobacteria.
Okay, bacteria, toxin. Okay, as for the toxin, so basically, if someone did get sick from this, what kind of symptoms are they going to have?
Someone who is affected by the toxin generally shows potentially gastroenteritis is a rare effect. There is liver damage that can occur, kidney damage, or heart damage associated with high level exposure.
Okay, and with the levels that we've seen over the past few weeks, is there any risk of anything like that? At least was there at some point?
Oh, yeah.
I can't answer that. I'm not really,
You're not really
a medical doctor in that sense.
With the new test results that you have right now, that what we're seeing, and you did say there's a big decline. What do you think would cause that decline? I mean, what do you think the city's doing differently that may cause those numbers to come down?
The city is flushing their lines and using a very systematic treatment of their lines, and I think that has helped quite a bit.
Got you. And since this is a type of organism that lives off of the photosynthesis, as you said, it lives off sunlight. In your mind, what could possibly maybe occur to bring that kind of toxin into the system? It lives off sunlight when there's no sunlight there. I know we had talked on the phone and how rare that was. Exactly how rare is that? And just hypothetically, what could bring that in there?
I really don't have any idea. That's what's totally baffling about this in terms of what could be the cause. In my opinion, there are a lot more questions than answers.
Let me ask you this: in your future teachings over at the college level, do you intend to use this as part of your curriculum from here on out, as maybe a case study for future classes?
I work in toxins generally, and it's always good to have anecdotal, direct evidence of what's going on. People always learn better, I think, if they know of something in their backyard that's impacting, them. So sure.
Well, and would this be a situation that you've been in, one of the first situations you've been in, at least in recent event history, as a professor, to actually learn something yourself from a situation?
No, I've published a lot of papers.
Have you?
So, I have about 120 papers. We've discovered new to science compounds and toxins. So, this is extremely unique as far as this distribution system being what is causing a problem for people. Usually it's the source water that is the issue. The source water here seems fine. So it seems like it's something in the distribution system, and that's what's very anomalous about this. What really is perplexing everyone in the city, I think.
Going off of your recommendations, 6 years.